everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Sitdown. I'm Leilani, and today I'll be your host, and we're joined by 4 amazing guests, if they want to introduce themselves.
I'm Icarus.
I'm Natalie.
I'm Brian.
I'm Jordan.
And today we watched the documentary called Best Worst Movie. It features the actors and actresses from Troll 2? Troll 2.
Troll 2.
That's a different thing.
No S. Yeah.
And just talked about its impact. Welcome back. All right, well, to start this, I just got to say, was it the best or the worst?
I think we didn't actually watch the film. We watched the documentary about the film and the making. But the clips that I saw, it looked like it was shot nicely. I don't know what the plot was, and I saw the guy's vision, but I don't know. It was the best worst movie because of how big the cult following is. Like, I thought that was cool.
So best or worst, right? Very arbitrary. Polar opposites. I have no idea. I don't know where I'm going with this. I have no thoughts behind these eyes. I feel like I'm just so confused. I think I left it and I'm supposed to talk about this now and I don't even I'm so confused. I'm not even sure I really know what the documentary was about, much less the movie itself.
I mean, while we were watching this, I did go through and I started watching the first 45 minutes of the actual movie, but on silent, so I only had the captions on. And I could not fully tell either because I haven't watched the entire thing or sat down and really thought about it.
Yeah.
But some of the things that they were describing when some of the people were like, oh yeah, it's the worst movie or it's the best movie, and I'm like, I really couldn't tell you.
It prompts me to want to watch it to form an opinion, because obviously, again, we watched a documentary about a movie. We didn't watch the movie itself. So now I feel like I need to watch the movie just to really understand.
I feel like
I want
we need
to
to watch
fan.
it next. Yeah.
I want to be obsessed as well.
Thoughts?
I think for me it was a very mid documentary. I can't really say that it was necessarily the best we've ever seen, and we've definitely seen worse documentaries and movies here at Cinema Sitdown, including the infamous Birdemic, which is actually more worse than Trolls 2.
I have to say, I think it was better.
I mean, the documentary itself, it did make the IMDb 40 worst movies list, but Trolls 2 did, and it came in at number 5 as of today, and Birdemic came in at number 2.
So objectively, Birdemic is worse than Trolls?
Trolls 2.
Yeah.
Troll 2. I'm sorry. We should probably say that we did not watch the animated cartoon movie, but this is Troll 2. Troll 2. Not Trolls. Troll.
So Birdemic is worse than...
Yes. Birdemic is worse, according to IMDb's 40 worst movies list.
Period.
Birdemic from 2010 is worse.
Thoughts?
I mean, the acting in Birdemic is not good at all. I mean,
at all.
It doesn't even feel like they have some sort of backgrounds in acting. But Troll 2, it looked like it was shot decently. It wasn't bad. I mean, it didn't feel like they were any the mic just cut out. You have no lighting or anything. But it wasn't the worst thing that I think we watched here. But I thought the idea behind the documentary was kind of cool. I feel like most movie documentaries are about the process of actually making the movie, and this was kind of cool. Let's meet them up 15 years later, and they're oh, so this is actually now a cult following this movie we're in.
Yeah. It was definitely interesting in the way that it was talking about it, even though it did actually show some of the clips that were from the movie, especially like their main points, kind of.
Yeah.
Which most of those I did actually see within the first like half of the movie. So that was kind of interesting to be able to relate them, and even like their Troll Olympic Festival thing that they had. Some of those were even in there with the activities. But when it comes to like the actual like cast of the movie, what did you guys think about them? Like there was the main character, there was the crazy dude who owns the store, even the director.
So in terms of cast that we saw, I didn't have like any strong feelings about them. We were kind of talking prior about the dentist, George, right? George Hardy.
Yeah.
I kind of like, I liked him at first. I was like, oh, just, you know, happy guy, whatever. Yeah. And then like as it went on, definitely like a little clout chasing, like, but like fair. I mean, that like everyone's trying to get their 5 seconds of fame nowadays. So like, no hate, just like you definitely picked up on those vibes. The other ones, I feel like they didn't focus on as much of the actors. And obviously, like this documentary was written from, or was directed by the child actor. So it's from that point of view. I can't speak today. Oh my goodness.
If we're gonna talk about George, he pissed me off so bad. He was so annoying to me the second I saw him. I don't know. I didn't enjoy him, and he's a real person. I'm sorry. But I thought it was funny that the documentary was supposed to be about like the making of the movie, but like we got so much of George like that. Like at some point, I was like, "Is this about him?" But yeah, that's obviously the older guy who was like in a hospital, and then he got casted in this film. He was my favorite person in this whole sequence.
Yeah, I have to agree. I definitely like, because he was like the store owner of something, and yeah, he was definitely probably the funniest. And I kind of wonder if they actually gave him a script or if he like followed it at all, because he was saying that like he didn't even know the people he was with, he didn't know what he was doing. He was like, I'm just here.
Yeah, I think they gave him a script. He just like maybe like felt very attached to the character. It was like, this is me kind of thing.
Yeah, he definitely put himself into that situation.
Yeah.
I think that it was interesting that this is the kid that starred in the movie that made this documentary. I think that you know he didn't really like it at first, like the movie at all, and then he grew up, and I guess the movie grew on him as he got older, and now he's a really big fan of Troll 2. Yeah.
I was very intrigued by the mom in the film. And when they went to go see her, and she was like, "Oh yeah, like I remember you, yeah." And then they were trying to get her to come to the premiere. She's like, "That's impossible, absolutely not." And they're like, "Well, what can we do?" And she's like, "I just want to be away from everybody and like never see anyone again." Like, wow, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's interesting. But she was kind of intriguing to me.
Yeah.
I was kind of curious about that because they were just like, "Oh, well, she's not going to be there," and I was like, "I'm kind of fair if you watch that movie back."
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But you did mention about how, like, with the main little kid who ended up directing this, how like the movie kind of grew on him. But it seems that as time went on, even though it was like considered the worst for a while, it seemed to have grown on a lot of people. So it definitely made quite the impact and kind of started these like probably even like cult followings like of this film, and there were just like festivals over and everything. Oh yeah, they did say it was a religion. I think that was
there's a couple thoughts I have on that.
Go for it.
Like there was kind of a divide between like the people who were part of the film who like agreed like this was an awful film, like this was terrible, and then there were other people like, no, this is a great film. Like when it originally came out, before like the whole cult following or whatever, like the director definitely, he thought like, oh no, this is an amazing film, like unironically. So that's something. And then also it gives me confidence as a potential filmmaker in the future, like, okay, well, if I make a terrible film, maybe I'll wait like 10 years, or 10 to 15, 20 years, and maybe it'll be okay then. Maybe I'll get a cult following. I don't know that I want that, but it's an option. It's like a plan B, at least. If I make a terrible film, maybe at least I'll Yeah.
My favorite part of this whole thing was the cult following because people loved it so much. Like, you're gonna host parties and be like, bro, we need to watch this movie right now. Like, and then they're like, if I watched it yesterday, I'm gonna watch it again. Like, I enjoyed that a lot because they were like, it's not bad, but it is bad, and nobody thought this movie was actually good, other than the director maybe. But there were so many people who would show up to these events, and they were just living in like delusion, like positive delusion, and I was just very happy for them. Yeah. How'd you feel?
Ooh. I mean, probably like the actual, like all the fans were probably what made most of this movie.
And the merch. I'm
And
sorry.
the merch,
The merch is very good. I want one.
Yeah.
Myself.
You want some of the merch? You can find some of those t-shirts.
Yes.
Get some of those. But they definitely made most of what this movie was like about. But what I did find kind of funny was because they had such a focus on all the people who like really enjoyed it, but then whenever George was like flying around to different places for like these conventions, no one showed up. 'Cause he was probably just in the wrong area. Like, they're not showing up to the conventions.
I also thought that was cool too. Like, people had to take these movies out in the beginning when it first came out, and then people were like, "Yo, I saw you in that movie." Like, what?
Yeah.
You know, you were talking about merch, and one of the other student producers that's here today, they actually found one of the T-shirts online, and it'd be interesting to know how much that T-shirt was going for. You know, with the cult following.
We all get, what is it? They say goblin, or do they say nilbog?
On the front, I think it said goblin, and then on the back it said nilbog, or whatever the reverse of goblin is.
Which is interesting, you know, because they were talking about how there's no troll in this movie. They're actually goblins. So that's another thing.
Yeah, that's funny.
The title in itself, it's called Troll 2, as though it's a sequel to Troll, but it's not. So
it has no relation to Troll, the one movie, the first movie. I wonder if there actually is a troll. The first troll.
I think there is, because he did say how, like, when he was going around at the convention, someone asked about it, and there is one, but not starring him or any of the other cast in Troll 2.
At all, yeah.
So I wonder what type of funding he had to get for that to use the name of the movie.
Definitely.
I was like, they did say that there was no budget for this.
Yeah, like very low.
Yeah. All the budget went to the costumes, the troll costumes, because those are scary.
The burlap mask, Halloween. I've seen scarier things at Halloween.
Okay.
I find it funny that you say that the budget went to like the troll costumes, but then there was the one part, and I forgot who it was, but he was wearing the yellow shirt, and the staff lost his shirt, so they told him to go get another one.
Yeah, like him to go buy one.
It's a continuity issue because there was no logo on the one that he went to go buy.
That was probably yes.
I don't think I got far enough in the movie to actually see that, because when I saw him appear on screen, I was looking for it, but I think it was probably later on, because they did say that they shot most of his clips with it.
I just wonder how the director feels like when he goes to those meetings, because he just likes to interject, like when they would talk about, like, the cast members know this movie is bad, and the director's like, no, this movie's great, and then like the whole point of like the Q&As is like, oh my god, you were in such a bad film, how does it feel? Like, oh my god. And then he's always like, no, like, this was great.
So no, it was a good film. And I'm like, there is a little bit to that, right? Because like, yeah, it was a bad film in terms of like continuity, like Brian just brought up, and acting, like even the little clips we were shown, it was like, okay, that was not very good. But it got this like following that like kind of brought people together over this weird, like, terrible movie. And so like I feel like that in itself makes it kind of a good movie in a way, in just that it has a group of people who can like bond over it. And so it's again motivating in like a real way as a director. Like, I hope I don't produce a bad film, but like I hope that I can produce something that like at least brings people together, whether it's like technically perfect or whatever. So I did kind of like that it showed that aspect of it, I guess.
The fans were saying that as well. Like, the movie is bad, but there was, like, emotion to it or whatever. Or, like, I can't remember exactly what they said. But they were just saying that it brought, like, effort, and that's why they enjoyed it.
Yeah, because the director definitely said, he was like, films are supposed to move people. And although it was not probably the best production, I mean, in a way, it did move a lot of people. So... with the whole best or worst, I don't know if it could really be the worst or the best, because it kind of did its job. But it was really funny to see how the director was reacting whenever
like his ego set aside. Like he had too much confidence in this movie. Like, it was not a good movie.
He was like,
in
there
terms
was
of
a
like,
script.
the little handshake. I really, really liked that. Like, that set aside, it helped bond people, so it had some value. A little bit. I mean, that's that's why we make movies, right? Like, not for big box office. Like, so I'm like,
I mean, all the actors who were on there did say that they were expecting to make something like really good, even though they didn't exactly know what it was. Then they go back and watched it. So I don't know how I'd feel being in that position of being one of the actresses and being like, oh, this is what I did.
It's a commentary on vegetarians.
It was.
It's actually like super deep.
Commentary on vegetarians.
Yeah, all the goblins. Apparently there were vampires in it, but none of them like ate meat or anything. The entire town actually only ate like plants. Which
I wonder if it was like the people were meant to be turning into plants so that the goblins could eat them because they were vegetarian.
I think that's what it was, because I think I got to that part.
I like that scene. They showed a clip of the movie where the guy is dressed in. Like, he turns into a plant, and then they put him in a pot, and they had to, like, drag him.
He said he stood there for 14 hours.
I agree, but it was beautiful. I love that. That was so cool. Like, it was a cool concept.
Exploitation as well. We'll tap that in the bag of why it wasn't a good movie. Just tack that on there.
Yeah.
Side note, actors maybe were abused, but it's okay.
Yeah, because they were saying that too. Like, the guy was complaining too much, and they just put a thing over his mouth so he wouldn't complain anymore.
And it was about vegetarians. Like, we moved past that a little fast. Like, it was the writer said it was a commentary about her friends who became vegetarians, and she just didn't like that, so she's like, I'm gonna turn vampires, except they only eat plants. This is a genius idea. No. What?
I mean, it is kind of genius. Like, that's really funny.
Is it?
I mean,
okay, it's funny. It's like, no, maybe I'm getting it a little bit. I'm like, no, this is hilarious.
If you think about it enough. But I still don't understand how they turn into plants. Like, all of a sudden, I just like saw the green goop, and then they were just like sprouting these branches. So I was like, where is this?
Well, they turned into plants because they were bitten by the goblins.
Oh, I did not see
that what happened?
Oh, I don't know.
Actually, that could be true. None of us have seen it, so any guess is good.
So, overall ratings. What would you give this movie?
The documentary.
The documentary.
Okay. Yeah.
We didn't watch the movie. What would you give the documentary for a rating out of 5?
Like a 3, probably. Like, very middle of the road. Like, it wasn't a stellar documentary in my opinion. But it was definitely interesting, and I'm like, I am a little invested now. I'm like, what is this movie? Like, I need to watch this. So maybe like a 3.5.
Watch party. We're gonna have to do it just to see how bad it really is.
I give it a 2.5.
2.5? Yeah.
That's my thought. This documentary is a 2.5 out of 5.
Out of 5.
Yeah.
So, okay, so it's like halfway there. I thought you were gonna go to like 2.5 out of like 10 or something like that.
No, but that too.
I was like, the rating online was like 2.9 out of 10 for like the original movie. And to be honest, from the little bit that I did watch of it, I feel like it might be a little bit better. I might go with like a 3.5. I mean, it's not
for the doc.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but part of it was kind of funny. Some of the people who were starred on there did make me laugh, so maybe I'll just stay around there. Maybe 4.
A 4 for this?
For the documentary?
For the documentary? The thing that we just watched?
I'm just saying, it wasn't the absolute worst.
What? That's true.
Okay, if I cut it down to just those people.
Okay, I think I would give it a, I guess probably a 2. Creepy goblins.
Creepy goblins.
I'd give it a 3. The creativity was there, the thought was there. We got the personalities of everybody, but it wasn't the best.
Yeah. I think it wasn't all too bad. I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode of Cinema Sit Down where we talked about the best or worst movie. Stay tuned for next week's.
Make sure to subscribe.